States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Trish. Here.
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 Sorry. We'll move on to the approval of the agenda.
Motion we approve the agenda.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Manini?
Yes.
Mr. Moraro?
Yes.
Mrs. Steigerwald? Yes. Mrs. Blue?
Yes. Approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of April 2nd, 2025.
Make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for the regular meeting of April 2nd, 2025.
Support.
Mr. Manini?
Yes.
Mr. Moraro?
Yes.
Mrs. Steigerwald? Yes. Mrs. Blue?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
And approval of the budget workshop minutes of the budget workshop for April 7th, 2025.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the budget workshop, April 7, 2025.
Support.
Mr. Moraro?
Yes.
Mrs. Steigerwald?
Yes.
Mrs. Blue?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer? Yes. Mr. Manini?
Yes.
We'll move on to the manifest 2025-08. Ricky, did you have any questions?
No, I did not have any.
Brett? Jeff?
None, Madam Mayor.
Rico?
No questions.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve manifest 2025-08 in amount of $236,593.65.
Support.
Mrs. Steigerwald? Yes. Mrs. Blue?
Yes?
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Manini?
Yes.
Mr. Moraro?
Yes.
We have no previous manifest questions. We'll move on to public comment. Anyone in attendance wishing to address the council on any item of interest shall do so now at the podium. State your name and address for the record. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes per person. Anyone in attendance wishing to address the council on an agenda item only shall do so now at the podium. State your name and address for the record. We have none. We'll move on to action items. Item number 1, Resolution 2025-03, Drinking Water Week.
So this is another resolution that we do on an annual basis each year to recognize Drinking Water Week. I think we have our Norway Spring that's very popular and has won awards in the past for its drinking water quality. So I recommend approving Resolution 2025-03.
Do I have a motion?
A motion, Resolution 2025-03, Drinking Water Week be approved.
Support.
Mrs. Blue?
Yes?
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Manini?
Yes.
Mr. Moraro?
Yes.
Mrs. Steigerwald?
Yes.
Item number 2, Resolution 2025-04, National Bike Month, Weekend Day.
Again, another resolution that we do each year recognizing National Bike Month. We are the City of Trails. We have 906 Adventure Team in the house tonight, so I think it's an appropriate month to be recognized by the City of Norway. And again, I recommend the approval of Resolution 2025-04.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that the City Council of the City of Norway recognize the month of May 2025 as National Bike Month, the week of May 12th to 18th as Bike to Work Week, Friday, May 16th as Bike to Work Day, and Wednesday, May 7th as Bike and Roll to School Day by the attached resolution to encourage all residents to give bicycling a try. Support.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Manini?
Yes.
Mr. Moraro?
After that special, very special resolution from my friend, yes.
I'm putting it in my calendar, Bike to School Day.
Mrs. Steigerwald? Yes. Mrs. Blue?
Yes. Move on to item number 3, Resolution 2025-05, National Police Week and Peace Officers Memorial Day.
This is a recognition of the police and those who lost their lives. And Norway is amongst a small group of individuals who, in fact, lost an officer in the line of duty. Therefore, it is very appropriate that we recognize National Police Week and Peace Officers Memorial Day. So I again recommend approval of resolution 2025-05.
Do I have a motion?
I move Resolution 2025-05, National Police Week and Peace Officer Memorial Day be approved.
Mr. Venturini?
Yes.
Mr. Moraro?
Yes.
Mrs. Steigerwald?
Yes.
Mrs. Drew?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Item number 4, Resolution 2025-06, National Public Works Week.
This is again, one we do each year, recognizing our Public Works Department. We spend many hours, weekends and at nights, taking care of our city streets and water systems and things like that. And this is to show appreciation for what they do for our community. Again, I recommend approval of Resolution 2025-06.
Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve resolution 2025-06 for National Public Works Week, May 18th through 23rd.
Support.
Mr. Moraro?
Yes.
Mrs. Steigerwald?
Yes.
Mrs. Drew?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer? Yes. Mr. Venturini?
Yes.
Item 6, Electric Department, wait, I skipped one.
5.
Item 5, 906 Adventure Team Storage Shed Request at Marion Park. Mr. Stoltman?
So this is a request by the 906 Adventure Team, who are here in the audience tonight. If council wishes to have them speak or will here answer any questions you might have. So I believe we discussed this once before, but they're looking to place a storage. My mouse is a little shaky from back here. There's a picture in your binder, but a storage shed in this general area in this tree line here. So our Parks and Rec, we discussed it at Parks and Rec, they recommended this to council to approve the storage shed. Councilmember Kramer, who's on our Parks and Rec committee, met the 906 team out there along with our Public Works Department to look at this location. They all agreed that they don't see any issues placing it here. There are some items that need to be removed from this area, some old utility poles and things like that, that should be removed regardless of what we do here. But we did kind of try to solidify this area. Talking to our city attorney, we do think there should be an agreement in place just to make sure that we understand each other's sides of what we expect, that they are taking care of their security, they're responsible for the equipment that's in it, the city is not. Sort of a time frame on if we find a reason why it needs to be removed, that's all under and understood, and so there's no questions going into the future. Size-wise, similar to the DTN, that's on the other side of the tennis courts over here. So the recommendation right now is, we say temporarily approve, but really it's approve it on the condition that we come to terms with that agreement with the 906 team. Whether the council would like to see that agreement, or if you want to give our city attorney the latitude to say that it is, meets his needs. Regardless, I believe it will happen and get approved, and it allows them to start planning for that shed while we get that agreement in place.
Any questions?
Oh, yeah. Great thing you guys do. Love it. 100% for it. Are we open up a can of worms? This is the second request now for a structure on public property in Marion Park. Marion Park's used by a lot of different groups. How many structures are we going to allow in Marion Park, I guess, before it gets to the point it's too many? That's all. That's the only thing, So, Grant, do we have recourse on this? What's the story? We let one know now two are coming, so is this going to be something that we should be concerned about down the road?
Up to council.
That's totally up to us.
It did cross my mind too, Mr. Moraro, because it's a low-hanging fruit of a question, and I was thinking about it as we walked in. I've been, I think, vocal about the support for the bike trails out there. I think it's a phenomenal activity, and it brings a lot of people in the community. At the same time, from the city's perspective, they've been working very closely with the DTN, the 906 Adventure Team. Frankly, it's getting ton of youth involved in our area. It's widespread and wide run based out of Marquette. But that is a question. I don't know who else would come along, but I think that's
You got multiple teams out there, you know, baseball teams, obviously, both girls and boys, soccer clubs, tennis, you name it. Again, great stuff. We're going to work with you. I want something that we can revoke at any time at our leisure and say everybody's got to go.
And that's I don't want to say implied, but very well heard, because that was something Dan and I chatted about. It was the usual, right? I don't think this has to be made into a 10-page user agreement, but it will be requiring, you know, some building insurance probably, knowing that they're fully responsible, hold us harmless, indemnify us, and that it can be removed at any time. I think it sounds like it's going to be like a broiler building type shed, that it's kind of almost semi-permanent, it sounds like. I don't know how the size or what's anticipated. But I think that does segue into, and I think that's a question for council. I think it's a question for Parks and Rec. I think it's a question for, and this isn't the first time it's come up, but a bigger question, our most valuable resource. I was talking to Brett before we started. I just came from out there. I stopped counting at 120 cars. It's one of it's our crown jewel. Our hydro is our city crown jewel for producing electricity and funds, and that park is the crown jewel that people around the UP and the state respect, love, and admire, frankly. I know I'm going a little beyond as just an attorney here, but I'm proud of it as a citizen too as well. So I think it comes into the master plan, and that's something to be talked about with maybe Parks and Rec on a bigger picture as we continues to get popular, continues to have pressures. That's up to council to decide how, where, who, to what extent. And I've had that conversation. I had it a little bit with City Manager Anderson in the past, developing a comprehensive Parks and Rec plan. I think it segued right out when he retired. But that's up to council ultimately, Mr. Marrero. Ultimately, it's
Great. We're setting precedent. That's all I'm bringing up. And you can't deny it. It's going to be really hard to deny anybody now. You know, after loan a couple coming in.
So this is actually the third out there.
The third will be?
This is the third, because we had one down by the soccer field for years. I don't even know how long that one's been there.
I would love to rip that one down, because it's pretty much falling down. There's a big hole in the door and everything, and I'm assuming that's ours? Cities, or is that a group's?
Don't know.
By the old tennis courts, I'm telling you.
Tennis courts.
There's another smaller one that's used for youth football, but many people have been working pretty hard now that we've got youth football reincorporated back using school facilities. I would love to get that shed out of there and put that on school property. So I'm willing to trade 2 for 1.
But definitely, I agree with you.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Contract between all of these organizations, specifying size, if we want it out of there, all that, I think should be in the plan, absolutely.
And something we did discuss too is we talked about like DTN and kind of looking at a retroactive similar, couldn't find if we had an agreement currently in place to do the same kind of thing. If this continues to grow with other organizations, it would make sense to, and it could be in the Parks and Rec master plan, but come up with some criteria of 501c3 requirements. Obviously it has to have something to do specifically with the park and in that area. We could even look at a little less convenient, but an area of the park that is designated for these youth leagues and youth things that require some sort of storage, and have a specific area that's where they go, regardless of where they might be operating in the park. That way it's in one spot, it's not spread out, and it's controlled. I don't think we're there yet. We don't have that many, but it is something that we should keep.
Yeah, that we could look at in the future, but I also feel like that is our crown jewel, and I think the 906, when they started these trails, you guys have done phenomenal. I like what you're doing. Not all kids play baseball, not all kids play soccer, and it is city-owned, and it should be spread out for everybody. I agree with Mr. Councilman Jeff, that, we can't continue on top of each other, but I don't feel like we're opening a can of worms, because I feel like you guys have worked very hard out there to make it nice, and that you brought it to our city and you bring people in, and like I said, having kids involved, you know, we can look at each thing as it goes, but I mean, you guys really put a lot of time and effort into our city, so.
Yeah, very well said, Ken, and I agree with all that as I started my statement earlier. Again, just as long as we have protection for, future and keeping it in mind, I'm totally cool with it.
I'll make a motion.
So in our preliminary planning, we were thinking like 8 by 12 size shed. I think originally we talked about maybe larger, but 8 by 12 is kind of where we're at.
I think in the agreement, to even Jeff's point, right, we should just specify nothing bigger than. As far as if it's smaller than that size, okay, but, nothing bigger than, because we don't want it to turn into an eyesore. or
Right.
Something out there as well, so I think that should be part of the agreement.
Great, I agree, that's great.
The other thing for Parks and Rec maybe is to just, again, for future sakes, guidelines on even color, are we keeping consistent colors or any of that, or type of shed? We don't have enough sheds out there to worry about it right now, but it's something that we need to think about, just like whether we should have a row of sheds or have them all over the place.
Right.
Yep, good point.
We're
Okay.
definitely happy to like comply with any of
Yeah.
that color material, like whatever.
I guess we'd probably stay close to the DGMs because it's, within a color where it kind of blends in, it doesn't stick out. Which is kind of the goal to get,
Yeah.
right? The less attention to it, the better.
That's
You know.
exactly right.
All right, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion
Just a
to,
minute.
Could I get their names, please? Jackie, Polly, H-A-L-L-E-Y. Okay.
And I'm Sanj, S-A-N-J Peterson.
Are you guys with the group or?
Yes.
Yeah, we're area leads here.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to temporarily approve the request by the 906 Adventure Team to place a storage shed at Marion Park at the location specified by city staff, contingent upon an executed agreement between the city and the 906 Adventure Team.
Support.
Mrs. Steigerwald?
Yes.
Mrs. Blue?
Yes?
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Mangini?
Yes.
Mr. Morrow?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Move on to item number 6, electric department truck purchase request.
So this obviously came from the electric department. Scott is here to answer any questions. So what they're requesting, and what I would tend to agree with, is they're looking at replacing their current pickup, the 2014 Dodge Ram. It has a cap on it. It just, it's not as conducive to what they do compared to what they're looking for, which is a standard utility type truck with a box that has a utility bed, which you'll see an example of a photo in your packet. What's good about when the electric department is looking to do something like this is that we're able to take a vehicle that is still in good condition and be able to pass that down to the public works where it's harder to find the money to purchase new vehicles. Their fleet continues to dwindle down as vehicles get red tagged. So if we have the opportunity for a department that can afford something before the old one is just too far gone, it's a positive thing that we can do. At the time of this writing, we were still working on quotes locally, which we have, and you should have at your desk an updated packet. We reach out to our local dealerships. Era Chevrolet here in town was the cheapest of all, and so if council is interested in us moving in this direction, that is our recommendation, is from Era. Where this would come from out of the electric departments is their capital line item, which we had 100,000 listed in there, with nothing spent out of that as of now. For this truck is 63,610, and again we would have the sending the current truck down to the Public Works Department, which is in need. So Scott is here to answer any other specific questions for council.
Did most of the companies say to you they weren't sure when it would come in? I see one does say that.
Yes, ma'am. They all kind of were non-committal, but around the 12-week mark. That's kind of where everybody said. It's really hard to know until you actually place the order.
Right,
But
I
around
understand.
12 months.
Is it a standard box truck that we're replacing with this utility box?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
it's just a regular pickup truck.
Yeah.
And we're replacing it with.
Because I know, yeah, we've had that discussion quite a bit about how this is a lot better for
Much more efficient.
keeping track of everything and
More efficient and safer.
safer, yeah.
Besides the vehicle, is there additional costs that we need to include in the motion?
Well, man, not that I'm aware of. I was told that that's the price delivered to the dealership and should be
I
good
didn't
for
know
that.
if we needed extra for decals or any equipment inside.
No, the decals will be provided by PPI. Maybe down the road, we'll look at doing a spray, underbody coating, whatever, but I'm not worried about that right now. I don't know how the truck actually comes equipped with that. It might have on it. I think it's very well equipped.
So you feel all these bids were comparison apples to apples?
Yes, ma'am. The one thing I'll note is that one thing we were really stuck on was that the service body was aluminum. The steel bodies on those tend to rust out really quick. This is all aluminum, so it should last a long time.
The only other possibility is that, we think it's 12 weeks out. If it ends up going in, into July or later, that's something we'll probably just we'll put in the new budget if council decides to approve this tonight. If we can't take delivery until the next budget, expect that to be moved over.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, I need a motion.
I make a motion, we approve the purchase of a utility truck for the electric department.
You know this.
You can do from era.
For the price of $63,610,
Not to exceed.
not to exceed, $63,610.
Support.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes?
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Mancini?
Yes.
Mr. Mararo?
Yes.
Mrs. Steppenwolf?
Yes.
Move on to item number 7, Police Department Portable Radio Purchase Request. Dan?
I'll just say, Chief Wilkie was hoping to be here tonight, and he was unable to attend. But so this is something we've done for the last few years, and that's replacing our aging portable radio, so the radio that's on each officer's person. The requirements continue to increase as far as the encryption requirements, and there's even a higher level requirement likely coming down for our CERT team that will cost more than this, but we'll cross that road. Another one of those, unfunded mandates. So we bought one last year and the previous year. This year, it actually went down a little bit. We budgeted $8,800. The current cost for them are $5,696. They're all Motorola's, and we do typically receive these from the LCOM systems, which is where we do most of our outfitting of police cars. So the recommendation is to purchase the Motorola, the portable radio, for that $5,696.39 from the LCOM systems. We keep looking and hoping for public safety grant money to come through for these, especially with the upcoming radio that requires a higher encryption and a higher cost. Those just don't seem to be coming down. But we will continue to look for grants as we try to re-outfit our departments.
I appreciate that Mr. Wilkie keeps bringing them in, one at a time so we can get this up to date. I know that we're going to have to change them. I think the fire department had to change them, the ambulance also. So it's nice that we ain't got, we got to get them all at one time.
We're just in time for us to be able, somebody tell us we gotta get new ones again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we know when that mandate's gonna be?
Pat wasn't 100% sure when they're gonna come down and start requiring that, but
And we only have one police officer on there.
yeah, on the CERT team, correct. Yeah. So we're gonna continue to try to prepare for that when it does, and hopefully we find some funding out there.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the purchase of the Motorola APX 6000 series portable radio for a not to exceed amount of $5,696.39 from LCOM Systems.
Support.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Mancini?
Yes.
Yes.
Mrs. Steppenwolf?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes. Item number 8, fiber splicer purchase request, electric department.
So this came about from our budget workshop when we discussed IT. Part of that discussion was the reconfiguring our fiber ring, and this was an item that would be required once we get to that stage. Council felt it was important to make sure that we had this on the next agenda. That's why we have this here. But if anything, I'll let Scott speak more on this, or if council has questions for Scott. But this is what was discussed at that budget workshop the other night.
Does anybody have any questions? If not, do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the purchase of a fiber splicing tools kit, not to exceed $7,219.58 for the electric department.
Where's it from? Is this NCTC?
It's NCTC. It's all.
Support.
No,
I don't know if someone was waiting for something else.
Yeah, I was just wondering if we needed to include it's from the NCTC is where we buy this from.
Yeah.
If you want to include that in your motion, that's where we're getting it from.
You want me to try?
Just add that, just tell them add that.
Okay, so do,
From
No,
NTCs.
just,
from NTC?
NCTC.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Support again.
Mr. McKee?
Yes.
Mr. Moraro?
Yes.
Mrs. Steigerwald?
Yes.
Mrs. Drew?
yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Move on to discussion items. Item number 9, Oakcrest Development Zoning Regulations. Mr. Stoltman?
So, this is part of kind of a larger discussion we've had before about city properties in general. But, you know, the Oakcrest development is probably the properties that we get the most inquiries on. The Planning Commission, we've discussed this once, and then we've been having, issues with enough members to get a quorum, but we had that resolved, so I'm hoping this can start again with them. But, so some of the things I wanted to just bring up to the council about the Oakcrest properties before we, start looking at selling these again is a couple different things, and it's kind of reviewing the current zoning regulations around the Oakcrest development, and first just making sure that it still fits kind of what we envisioned for this area. For example, we have our minimum square footage for single-family homes on each parcel, which is 1,500 square feet, which is, I think, perfectly adequate for these 2.5 acres. However, one of the biggest questions I receive is, can I buy 2 lots? Or can I buy 3 lots? Combine those lots to build one house. So on the surface of that, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but we are, however, potentially losing out on a little extra development and growth and tax dollars as we're potentially missing out on 2 additional single-family homes being built.
But could we make, if they bought 2 lots, could we make it that they have to build a bigger home?
Correct.
Under
That is
more
part of
tax
that.
value.
That could be part of that zoning regulation discussion of, if we do allow the buying of 2 parcels, so for 5 acres, and combining those into one, instead of 1,500 square feet, do we require a 2,500 square feet home, something that matches the size of the properties? That's just kind of one example of something I get asked a lot, and something that, I think we need to just kind of consider. Another area that we were kind of looking at is, the configuration of the current 9 parcels remaining, and then, we own all of this property here, and here's the golf course. I've been told by some realtors in the past that, some of the most desirable developments might be right here amongst, backing up to this golf course. We have a road cut in here for potential development. But if these lots here may be the hot ticket for this initial development, if we sell these first 2 lots, well, now we're likely having to come down here and putting in a very expensive road to get to perhaps the most desirable developments in the initial stages of this.
Lots. Them are the nicest
Right.
lots.
Well, and these 2 are the ones that most people are interested in. So just as another example of, maybe planning commission thinking about the future here is, do we look at maybe having a road cut in here to protect, these lots? We have a much easier access. It's a lot cheaper if we access these lots down potentially here, coming this way, than having our current road come in all the way from here. So just some thoughts that we've been kind of looking at, and just before we maybe sell something that impedes us from having a future development, just some things to think about. And now that we have a full planning commission, I think we'll more easily be able to get a quorum to maybe have them start thinking about this and bring a recommendation to council. I don't want to take an entire summer thinking about this, but I just think it's worth the conversation.
I think it's worth the conversation, but we've had people, come back and wanted these questions answered, and they were supposed to be answered by January. So, I want to do it right, but I also want to get it done.
Agreed.
Yeah, and the lots in question really to make this possible is really just these first two, or even the first one. These lots, they don't really impact the potential development of in here, because we do have the road already.
Well, take the
cut
first
in.
lot off, take the first lot off for now, and then, until we decide if we want to put a gateway through there, for those other things, and, let the rest of them, sell the rest of them. That should solve the problem. If all you're worried about is access.
Yeah, then this first one is certainly, where we would likely have some road come in to get, lots here, all through here to get.
Or even run a road right on the property line.
Yeah.
Right?
Kick those other lots over and put your access road in right there.
Right.
And then you can,
Or even leave those first two lots the same, kick three over.
Right.
And do it there. 'Cause that's just from the.
Yeah,
topographical
that's sort of the
second
idea
lot
of,
was
if you look at this cut in here, figure that size somewhere,
Yeah.
right there. But it's that kind of just discussion that, I think the planning commission in a meeting or two, maybe some special planning commission meetings just to get this rolling, just might be a good idea to have. I don't know if we develop these also, we're gonna have a lot, like 10 more brand new golf course houses here. I don't know.
And you don't really want to run your road along the lake frontage.
no. You can. You want to kind of make sure, whatever kind of road you're going to run in there,
Right.
let's think about the topology and, what's going to, like you said, you don't want to be cutting through some of the nicest lots there are, just because.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't have kind of really a developed plan for here. And I don't know if we necessarily have to, as long as what we,
Well, yeah, let's
do-
concentrate mostly on the ones that we already have.
Yeah.
Wasn't there another question too, that they were supposed to be sold in order? Are we gonna do that, or are we gonna let people buy the lots?
I mean, that's what I was sort of told when I started. And I've talked to most of you. I don't think that's the desire. I think it's sell what people, when they want to purchase. I understand kind of the theory behind it, but I'd rather have some in here and not none, because no one
Yeah,
wants
just have
this
it
lot.
held up because somebody doesn't want the next lot up?
Is there a rule they have to start building within so many months?
Yes.
Yes.
We do have a rule on timeline. The other just kind of thing we've talked about, and we did discuss this at Planning Commission, was utilities. Running the utilities, water and sewer down to these properties, that could be a long ways away. I don't know if we'd want to wait for that, but we could, consider something that in the covenants of these, when your well fails or when your septic field fails, you need to hook up if utilities are now there.
The only reason we'd run utilities down there is if we were going to develop
Correct.
that piece of land.
Yeah.
And you could put a little piece in there if we run them and yours doesn't work anymore, then you would have to hook up.
Yes.
Where that way, if there's
Correct.
still up and going or whatever, but it gets to a point where they have to replace everything, then they would have to hook up.
I agree.
Yeah.
If we run utilities through.
One
And
of the biggest complaints I've heard is because they're not there. why am I paying city taxes without any utilities?
Yeah.
Because you're in the city.
You know, it's one of those things that they do bring up, right? Like, I'm gonna buy a city property lot without any utilities.
Well, I guess my one argument to that is, taxes don't pay for water and sewer. Water and sewer fees pay for water and sewer. Tax money is general fund money. General fund money doesn't typically go to water and sewer projects, just.
And people know it before they go there.
They do.
They do.
But, it's one thing I've heard several times.
Oh, yeah.
You're listening to Joe Tinty, that's what he complains all about. I live in the city,
Excuse me.
I don't
Do we
get city.
get requests where somebody wants to buy a lot, but they want to buy the adjacent lot to make sure nobody builds on it?
That's-
Yes.
Oh, that's-
that's
yeah,
what
sure.
we're-
Is
Yeah.
that allowed?
Well, that's what we're talking about.
That's, yeah.
Combined, but if they kept it separate, they have to build it.
Yeah, so we don't, if you buy two separate lots and keep it separate, we would expect you to build on both lots. Now, you can buy two, if you combine it, then it's one lot, but then that's kind of one of the questions is, do we want to allow two or three to be bought and combine it?
I don't think you should go with
And if so, do we want to
three.
require more to get a better, value out of that sale?
But you could go with two and just say, you gotta build a bigger house so the tax values.
Yeah.
Or
That's definitely
or do
one
you
option.
take that section of 5 lots and turn it into 4?
Well, that's what I was just gonna say, up by where your mom and dad live, right? That was how this all came about selling in order, is because we have 6 lots up there that are undesirable,
Right.
and we've been hanging on to them for 20-some years,
Yeah.
and we can't sell them. Right, so does it make sense to sell a 1-acre lot versus maybe we sell this one at 3.5, just because it has an undesirable site at some portion of it? And to say 1-acre lots, I don't think that's sufficient.
These are 2.5 acre, aren't they?
Or 2.5,
Yeah,
whatever you want
these
to
are
say,
2.5s.
3 acres, 4 acres. I just don't think that you can say 3 acres. There might be a hill that's right next to it that, why wouldn't you just add it into that lot, now it becomes 3.5, 3.75 acres.
Right.
And if that many people are requesting if they can buy 2, I'm assuming that's for the privacy aspect of it. I want more space of my own. Maybe that's what the market is saying. So instead of 2.5 acre lots, if we lose the number but expand the individual lot size to 3 to 3.25 or whatever, maybe that's, and this is where the experts would know. I'm just sitting here pretending because I'm on Zillow. But maybe that's what someone intelligent and versed in that field would say, yeah, I think that would motivate.
One lot cost you.
Buyer and home sales, that's what they want, is that privacy.
Yeah, but how many acres is privacy? I don't know.
How about this? One lot costs you X, 2 lots cost you X times 3. I mean, seriously.
Yeah,
I mean, the demand's there. It's supply and demand at that point,
I don't
right?
know what the,
Or to Candy's point, it's either that or they gotta build a bigger house for more taxes.
Right.
Because we're
Right.
giving up.
And they definitely gotta build on both of them. You can't build a house and just have the other acreage there.
Exactly.
You gotta be on both, you know what I mean?
You have to
It doesn't-
combine the lots.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be equal, but it's gotta touch both lots if you're building.
I think it needs.
oh yeah, your structure needs to
I
be not,
definitely think it needs a closer look.
Yeah.
yeah,
You know, and all these changes, these are, if we have language on combining lots and size of houses, these are zoning changes, so we have to do public hearings and publish, so there's some work to do that, but we don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot if without taking one more look at this.
Yeah.
Right,
The other thing up here, people like their outbuildings, the extra garages to store out.
yeah.
Yeah, and we have rules and regulations on accessory structures and all of that, and
This
that's
needs-
in there, so.
This needs to be number 1 on the planning commission's agenda. We need to move on it quickly. We need to get some clarity on these front lots. And then we need to come up with a recommendation for council for the back property. What we want to do
At
instead
some
of just
point.
staring at it,
And I mean, I don't know if you guys agree with me, but I understand the point of doing them in order, but it's holding us up too.
yeah, let the market.
We
Let
need-
the market
right.
do what it's supposed to do.
And we need to,
and-
right, I
And if
agree
you
with.
end up with a couple extra lots,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
like
And
up
I agree
here.
with, I agree with the access to, another access point to the, the back lots. especially along Oak Crest Drive there. But once we get that, let's just sell these things and move on.
Right, well, and the thing is too, if we sell the properties, we can use that money to put a road in.
There you, exactly, and other things, right?
Right.
Yeah, and I don't, the comparison for this and like the Spring View, I don't know all of these lots that well, but I don't think they have the same undesirable or topography issues that would make them unbuildable, like some of the ones up in the Springview subdivision. And Springview, you know, that situation is exactly why we're looking at the properties in general, trying to develop that desirable, unbuildable, non-conforming to move these. So, I mean, the big things for the, like, if council wants to move this to planning commission, which is the recommendation, it's looking at trying to make sure we have an access in these front couple lots here. So if we find that these are the developed ones we want to get, we have that ability.
To come through too before you sell it.
Yes, so we'd have to do the same thing you see here, as you have this road access right here. We'd essentially we would probably want to keep this, because the reason was to access this for future development. So something similar here to make sure if we want a development on the golf course, we have that access before we sell it.
But isn't that the same, okay, if you move the road access that they're currently forward a couple lots, because that road access is to access the stuff underneath. Aren't you doing that by, I mean, do we need 2 road accesses?
Well, the only reason why I would suggest it, this is a big piece of property.
Yeah.
And the reason why we're talking about putting one in here, we don't need to, because we do have this access here. But if you're gonna develop this first, that's a much more expensive project.
No, we gotta get
To
rid
get
of
the
the
road
other
there.
ones
That's
first.
why I was wondering if we can change the
But for the
lot.
same thing, if we start developing over here and we only have an access here, again, it's
Right,
expensive.
and that's 160
So
acres, I think.
it's to
back
give
there.
us some options
180,
of
yeah.
where these developments might occur.
Yeah, you want 2 accesses, there's no, I think.
And I think we just concentrate on them ones right now.
I think there's
Because we don't
kind of
want to have,
three or four real areas for planning commission to discuss. And that's the lot combining. Does it come with a larger required single-family home square footage if you combine? Probably set a limit, maybe or maybe not, set a limit to the number. But if someone wants to combine all of these properties and we have a square footage increase, that's a pretty big home.
I would just limit it to 2, or you guys can, the planning commission can also look at maybe taking one away and making into 4.
Right, we might have to do a little reconfiguring.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, I'd like us to direct the city manager on exactly what items we want on the next planning commission, as the planning commission rep council person at, is.
That's already taken care of.
Okay, good.
We already talked about that,
Good.
and that's gonna be on there.
If there's a comprehensive plan of those lots you're discussing along the golf course, we can go ahead and put power in ahead of time, and that might actually track the sale of those lots a little bit easier, if there's power available currently on the lot. So if we have a plan, we can have that stage, much like Springview would have been done. That power would have been put in there prior to the sale of the lots. We can do the same thing out there.
If we come up with a plan, even just to change these lot configurations, get a road in, then we've avoided any potential, cutoff here. We're pretty good. So it won't take, I don't think, a lot to solve
And it'll
and
be a
protect
while
us
before
little
we
bit.
get to them lots anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
If-
if we were, I don't know how quickly we would turn those into lots, but then what about the lumber sale and the lumber that's there? Those
Yeah.
are insurance trees.
yeah, and I don't know how much we would clear. I mean, that's a big future.
That's a
discussion.
ways down the road.
But as long as we get that road cut in, then we don't have to worry so much right now, because we know we have access to those golf course lots if we want to develop. So my motion here is really, if council agrees, is to push this to planning commission as soon as possible, to start developing these and bring it to council for.
And our priority are the ones that we have right now.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah,
And I
Perfect.
would definitely recommend anybody to go out there and walk it
yep,
and understand what that looks like out there.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
Because this does not do it justice.
No.
and
no.
yep. And I don't know, even me, talk about these lots, this area here, I don't know the topography there.
Yeah, like I said, I'd recommend anybody from the planning commission or or even council to physically walk that and look at it.
I've been back there.
It's
nice. So,
Let's
real-
make it a little picnic.
Guys, real quick, I'd like to add one more thing with planning commission. So we've talked, we've heard of the thing called desirable lots quite a bit tonight, right? And I know at one point we talked about actually sending a letter out to homeowners that have, that lot that's stuck in between houses, like on Spring View, or something behind them that's not really desirable to build, and making them telling them to make an offer to us, so at least we get it sold and on the tax records. I don't think that's went anywhere. And that's probably due to planning commission, so I'd like to get that on the agenda as well,
Yep.
to discuss.
So the assessor and I have been working on just that. That's taking all those properties and categorizing them to figure out what is, desirable or not. And the Springview, like in some cases, you might have one middle lot undesirable and a corner lot desirable, and then a third lot. So, combining lots to make bigger lots to make it desirable. Or, as Jeff said, the lot next to him is undesirable, it's not gonna be built, you approach him and say, would you like this to combine to your property? We've been working on that this week and last week, and it is that sort of development to get all those figured out.
Good. If it doesn't sell, because if it's never gonna sell, we might as well get it to somebody so they're paying taxes on it.
Yes,
You can give it to them, for God's sake, if you wanted to,
And then they have ownership over it, they'll
Right.
hopefully they'll develop, make it cleaner,
Sounds like it's
make it more attractive.
Great.
We'll move on to mayor council comments. Ricky?
Just wanted to remind everybody that the Norway Spring Classic is on Saturday, April 26th. The race starts at 10 a.m. It's the same route that we always take, so it starts right next to the library is where the start will be. And then it goes back, goes around Circle Drive. The longer distances, the 10K and the 5K, the 10K uses WPA Road, and then they go back past Hanbury and then back up. I encourage everybody to come out. I am looking for some more volunteers to be on the course to watch. We are 50% higher in our online registrations this amount of time before the race as we were last year. So being part of Run the UP challenge has really helped put us out.
That's great.
Awesome.
I was worried because the draft's that weekend in Green Bay, so I didn't know how the turnout would be.
Stay out of Green Bay.
I'll be in Green Bay, yeah.
Stay out of
It's
there.
their first trial, and that 10K really gets you set for the season. It's got a few hills in it.
Yeah. Awesome.
Brett?
I have nothing to give.
Jeff?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I would like, you weren't here for last meeting, when I had the honor to play you. Mr. Bamalani came in and was pretty passionate about, the blight situation, once again in town. And I know, Rico, I think you can back me on this, when you came on the board, which is 3 years ago almost now, we started talking about blight, and we've made some improvements, I think. We've made some small steps, but I would like an update from our city manager and city attorney, since what we've got to accomplish the last 2 weeks on Mr. Babalani's concerns.
Is this something you'd like me to respond to right now?
Sure.
The last 2 weeks since the meeting?
Any letters go out?
No. The attorney and I asked Grant to get a detailed list of the steps to move to condemn houses, to make the effort to tear down, to get those step-by-steps of how that happens. I've had other blights sent to me. I've forwarded those pictures on to the police chief and the city attorney and informed them to write the letters for compliance, and if they are properties that already have received letters of compliance, then to ticket. So that's what we've done in the last 2 weeks as far as blight right now.
And we did send some letters out though previously, right?
The police have sent more letters out for blight this year than they have the last several years.
That's what I thought.
The compliance is tough. We ticket and we ticket, and we can get court orders to remove some things, and that is a process. But we continue to try to get that compliance and continue to ticket. Mr. Bablani, again, he sent me some more photos of properties. I passed that along to our police chief and the attorney and instructed them to either send the letters, and if the letters have already been sent without compliance, then we will then just send tickets.
My turn? My understanding is multiple tickets have been issued, or these things have been brought to Dan's attention and CC'd to me as well. We've also been developing some documentation for the acquisition of some blighted properties that I'm not going to discuss in public, but things have been moving forward, and I've also discussed with Dan and the police chief a renewed interest in making sure that tickets are issued, things are kept an eye on, and things are moving forward. Also discussed with Mr. Stoltman the issue, the specific house that I think is neighboring Mr. Bablani's properties that he's concerned about. It's been identified as an issue. Mr. Stoltman and I talked about potential remedies, issues, and a process of contacting the homeowner and discussing options available, including moving forward with heightened court orders and obtaining methods of compliance through the court process.
That's music to my ears, gentlemen.
Those
Where you
sometimes
got
things
some
are not
stuff
done
accomplished.
publicly, things happen behind the scenes that sometimes the public doesn't
And
know.
and we don't read minds, so that's why I asked.
Yep.
Isn't that what I said, or did I not say it like that?
No, he said it way better.
He is
And-
a lawyer, though.
Yeah, you said it way better.
He is a
He
lawyer.
charges more too. Yeah, and no one citizen coming in here complaining about something mandates that the city is now gonna react
No.
to their,
No,
to their
We're
single
not saying that at all.
complaints.
Or I'm not saying that at all.
I just wanna, I'm gonna pick a word apart that Attorney Carlson used. He said the word renewed interest in ticketing. I've always had an interest in cleaning that stuff up. I don't like the word renewed. I want, and I want the stuff fixed.
Thank you.
I have the interest. I know it's not an overnight fix, and I know it's a lot more complicated than I can imagine it is. But please, please stay on that.
If I may. Well taken.
Thank you.
I think, from my first day here, my first day here, Mr. Anderson and I spoke about blight and the issues regarding blight, both that they are problematic, that they can rot a city from within, and that one of the things that Mr. Anderson always took pride in was keeping on top of it and trying to do everything he could to try to keep it in check. Because if it's unchecked, it spreads. And it gets worse.
You can name 5 towns in UP right now. I
And-
can name them, but you can name them.
It's always an issue. It's an issue faced by every community in the UP, every community probably throughout the state. Some of the things that we used to do for enforcement have been cut out from underneath us and have caused great frustration amongst communities. Some of the legislation that's been passed, some of the reforms have cut off our legs in some of the more efficient ways of addressing it. The nice thing is, I think, in our community, driving around compared to some of the other communities, we're blessed with a community that generally cares, councilmen that care, and that are focused on making sure we don't get to that point. But it's always an ongoing issue, and it seems like springtime, it creates a renewed interest as the snow melts and you see what's underneath the snow that was hiding. And now is that time, and we're going to start seeing tickets, I'm sure, for lawns that aren't getting cut and other issues. So it's always an issue, but as Mr. Minigini pointed out, it's always an issue, and it needs to be focused on, as always.
Sustained interest.
Sustained.
As opposed to
Sustained is a much
renewed.
better word
Yeah.
than renewed.
And that wasn't, I didn't want that to be my council comment. My council comment wanted to be, Dan and I met with Lisa from Playgrounds by Design today. I think by Mr. Stoltman's reaction was the initial rough price quote was like, hey, that's lower than I thought it was going to be. It was met with a lot of optimism of, hey, this is well within
Our reach.
striking range, our reach. Some of the things that we've already said we want to do, some of the other funds that have been earmarked, strictly for recreation. I'm excited about it. I'm sure we'll get some more information on that with the potential of a late September actual build day. which is nice. You know,
Yes.
from talking about it to dedicating the rec funds and some others out there. All the kids at school, all the elementary kids at school were able to, we did it as a capstone to our March's Reading Month. They were all able to put their ideas, their design ideas of a playground on a paper, right, you know, all arted it up with their markers and crayons and colored pencils and stuff. I scanned them all and sent them, and then they turned around and incorporated those ideas. And one of the big ones was a zip line, you know, zip line, 75-foot zip line incorporated into this, not going out into the middle of the lake.
I thought that was a good idea.
Someone brought that up across the lake, who knows, right? Sky's the limit. All you gotta do is sign a waiver, I guess. Carlson, get on that. But just some cool stuff. The kids and the parents, when they did that project, they went home and they talked to their parents about it, and the staff that was involved with it too. A little 15-minute, hey, sit and draw and design, created a pretty positive buzz
That's
about
great.
refurbishing, redesigning Knight's Kingdom. So I just want to let you know, that's what I'm seeing from the kids and the young families, that they're pretty excited about it. I'm pumped up about it now too.
Yeah.
If I could, Kenny, I was just going to finish my earlier blight comment.
Okay.
Rick's-
Sorry,
No, it's okay.
thought you were done.
Thanks, City Manager, Council, for the update. Sounds like we are starting to make some progress. To Rico's point, I look forward to maintaining this momentum and continued updates as we move forward. Thanks. Sorry. Don't know.
And I'm glad to hear the update on Strawberry Lake. This has been dear to my heart. You know, I know the kids use that a lot, and, you know, it's been outdated for quite a few years, and it's getting to be an eyesore down there. So hopefully we can go through and get it looking good, and so the parents and the kids can get down there and use it like they used to for birthday parties or whatever. Because right now it's just not in good shape at all, and if we have anybody out there interested in donating towards the park, that would be great too, because I've talked to a couple people and they might be interested, so any funds that we can get would be great.
I definitely think that needs to be part of, we discussed this before, I think Kenny's right, it needs to be part of this. So I heard what the number was looking like, and it's still a big number.
But it's a
and-
lot lower than we thought.
But it's lower than what we thought.
And I hope everybody has a nice Easter.
Yep.
The employees, everybody in town here. Happy Easter to everybody. Dan, did you have anything?
Just a reminder, going into May and through the summer, we move our council meetings to Mondays, the first and third Monday at 7 o'clock. So
So next,
next meeting will be May, whatever the first Monday is in May, I think it's the 5th.
are you golfing?
And we do have this at your
No,
table.
I took the,
to
my
remind
back's too bad. We're good, we can stay on Wednesdays if you want all summer.
There is a,
What do you want to do on Mondays?
we always did it on, went back to the Mondays because one of our members golfed, and they no longer will be golfing at that time, so I don't know if that's an option.
Not this year, yep. But thanks, Ken, appreciate that.
That's something we could revisit. For
We'll start off with
Yeah,
our
we'll probably
first
have to-
meeting on the
Yeah,
Monday.
you guys do whatever you want,
Yeah.
I'm good either way. If you like the Wednesdays at 6 better than Mondays at 7.
If you guys just wanna,
Put it on the agenda.
Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
we'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
yep, that's all I have.
Thanks, buddy.
We're gonna have a citywide power outage.
Oh, yes. do you
Oh,
wanna-
my God, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot that you
Me
had.
too.
There will be a citywide power outage starting May 4th. It's a Sunday from 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. American Transmission Company has to do some maintenance on the line that feeds town, so they are shutting us off, and just want everybody to prepare. We've been going around talking to businesses the last 2 days, so we're trying to get out and tell people that might be affected, but the entire city will be out for 4 hours.
Totally out of our control.
Yeah,
This is-
total, yeah, and they really should be getting, I would hope, getting something out there to the people. It's not just Norway. there's going to be other people, but I don't know who else, but just,
ATC's working on messaging right now. They got their communications team working on getting some stuff out. And then we'll follow up with Facebook, and we have like 700 email accounts that we can push reminders out to, just to over-communicate that this is happening.
and want to say that date again?
May 4th from 12 a.m. to 4 a.m.
And that is a Sunday
Yes, sir.
morning?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So that would be a Sunday morning, just so people are aware. So if your
Yeah.
power goes out, it is out of our control. There's nothing we can do about that, but we will be out at that time because they will be doing some repair work. Grant?
Nothing, thank you, Madam Mayor.
All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion we adjourn.
Second.
Mrs. Steigerwald?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes?
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Mendoza?
Yes.
Mr. Morrow?
Yes.
Meeting adjourned.